Howdy, folks. Makers Mashup. I'm Charles Deering. Stop laughing. It's football fans, not special needs or anything. So anyway, I got to put my headphones on so I can hear. We are going to go down the line, introduce everybody. I'll introduce the featured guests last, since they are the featured guests. But real quickly, show is sponsored by Arnell Media, who does my website. Steve Nealon, great guy. Specializes in maker websites, but not limited to that. And I'm a proud member of Makers Media Network. And my website is woodenvisions.com. Real quickly, if you would like to support the show, you're not obligated to, but there's two options to do that. There's what they call a super chat if you're watching live. Right down where you type, there's a $sign under there. Again, you're not obligated, but if you want to, you click on that, it'll walk you through. But after the last show, I have now set up a Patreon, and in the description of this video, you will see a link to my Patreon. It has a reward system for each level if you so choose to donate. You don't necessarily have to accept the rewards, just whatever you want to do. I just wanted to see if I can make it worth it for everybody's time. But let me go down the thing. We have Chad Grossclaws of mancraftingtm.com.
How's everyone doing?
Pretty darn good. You want to tell everybody where they can find you and all that other?
Oh, I'm sorry. You can find me Mancrafting. Everything Mancrafting. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
So if you don't use a bunch of different names, we can find you better. That Chad knows how to do that. Now we got Al Forte out of Odessa, Texas.
Hey everybody, Al Forte, Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop, YouTube and Facebook, just for fun. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here, Spock. We won't go back into that. Next we got Paul's Corley Workshop. Paul, introduce yourself. I'll screw it up.
Hi, I'm Paul Corliss from Paul's Messy Workshop. That's Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube, Paul's Messy Workshop on Instagram, paulsmessyworkshop.com, but I don't do Twitch.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on, sir. I'm Charles Denver. I'm saying that. And I just noticed Eloy jumped in, so I'll let him introduce himself. Eloy Escojedo.
Hey guys, Eloy Escojedo from Escojedo Woodworking.
And Eloy and Chad are also members of Harnell. I knew I was going to screw it up. Makers Media Network. You can go to Makers Media Network if you are interested in seeing what it takes to become. My God, people are just popping in left and right. We have Dave at Portal Woodworks. I'll come back to him if the audio works. Thank you for being on, Eloy, Chad, and Alan, Paul, and Dave. If you ever come up, we'll try to squeeze you in at some point. But first thing I wanted to say, our guests are Chad Stanton and Safety Dan. In case you've never seen them before, Safety Dan's on the left, Chad's on the right, sitting on a phone book.
Hey guys. Hey.
And oh God, I don't even know where to start. Me and Chad met on one of the earlier hangout shows like this, but what made our friendship grow in my eyes, I tend to every now and then open up on Facebook about things that are going on in my life without any kind of prodding. Chad wrote to me and reached out to help, and that meant the world to me. Little things like that mean the world to me. And I'm sorry to jump away from that, but out of fairness, I'm going to introduce you to, I'll come right back. I swear, we got Portal Woodworks, Dave Jones. If you want to quickly introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm Dave from Portal Woodworks. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under Portal Woodworks.
All right. Thank you for being on, Dave. I'm glad your connection is working for you. Okay, so, yeah, that's just the kind of man, and I know Dan. I don't know Dan's last name, and it might be private, so I won't even ask. Dan, I know Dan can vouch for me on Chad's character. I mean, people need to know what you see when you watch a wood chopping time video. Or, okay, Chad is not 100% goofy all the time. Dan may say I'm lying on that, But these guys are great friends. They're real friends. But everything you see on video is not the real them. The talent is there, but it is a shtick, and I will let Chad take over on that, and Dan, however y'all want to word it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I couldn't possibly have customers if I'm always acting like a goofball and dancing all the time. And you know, Dan always comes across with like the stone cold face and that, but that's not who we really are. We started putting the bloopers at the end of the videos because I think it kind of showed a couple things. It showed, one, that we script the show. You know, we're just not making it up, ad-libbing. It's scripted pretty tight.
Except the dancing.
And, what's that?
Except the dancing, because I've seen Dan lose it on the dancing.
But the whole idea is to show in the bloopers. I think it kind of shows a little bit of the real us, you know, in it. So
yeah. I'm sorry. Every time I watch your videos and I see Dan lose it on the bloopers, it's hard to watch you dance like that and keep a straight face. I don't know how the heck he ever does it. Oh, and Dan, just since you're Dan, you gotta like hold up a cigarette or a beer or something and say, "Hey,
hey, hey."
I love it. I freaking love it. And as a special treat at the end of the show, Chad, we've already arranged we'll dance us out, and we are having a strange giveaway tonight. With a random number. Don't take me seriously on this, but dang it, I shouldn't.
14.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, we're going to get free dance lessons from Chad and a case of beer and a carton of cigarettes from Dan.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that,
they're close dance lessons too, you know? It's up close and personal.
And these guys are friends in real life. Do y'all want, I want to respect y'all's privacy to whatever degree. Are y'all comfortable saying whereabouts y'all live or that kind of thing? Or
yeah, sure.
how y'all met and all that kind of stuff?
You tell them that one.
I live in a box down by the river. Because Chad doesn't pay me enough. No, we're from Toledo, Ohio.
Toledo, Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that where Radar's from too?
It's Jamie Farr.
Yeah,
No, you're thinking of the not Radar.
Yeah. They got
Klinger.
Klinger.
Yeah,
Toledo,
Klinger.
Ohio. I spent
like
a
a
week there one
restaurant
day.
or something there.
Oh Lord, I'm tickled to death to have y'all on because to me, I mean, I'm being a fanboy, you know, because you know, I've talked to Chad much more than Dan, but I think the sense of humor is just meshed so well, and I love it. But anyway, a lot of people, if they don't know who y'all are, don't realize the awesome talent you have and what you do. So let me get into that. Or first of all, I believe you said you're not big on social media because you're so busy, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, just give a little brief background of what I do. I am a full-time furniture maker, a licensed contractor, finish carpenter. That's what I do for a living. The whole YouTube video thing, it's just a hobby and part-time thing for me. So I really don't make a living off of it. That's why I'm not real regular with videos. I do Facebook, but I don't do all the Instagrams and the whatevers, the tweeters, and just it's not my thing, you know.
Tweeters.
So anyone that follows, we both are incredibly thankful for, because we're really not that active in the whole social media thing. But with that being said, I spent 4.5 years with American Woodworker as a contributing editor. I do work with Popular Woodworking on some articles. In fact, the latest issue out now has one of my articles in it.
Yeah.
I host the show I Can Do That with Popular Woodworking, which is it's more of a beginner series woodworking video projects, but it's a very high production show. It's a 30-minute show, includes free plans at the end of the show, and a new video comes out every 2 weeks. Happy to say we are going to be starting our 4th season with that show. Then I also teach at the Sam Buford Woodworking School up in Adrian, Michigan. Got regular classes going on up there. I teach and give lectures at the different woodcraft stores and different private woodworking clubs across America. And on top of all that, I'm trying to do my YouTube video series of Wood Chopping Time, which is the two of us. Started a new YouTube series called Just Plain Bored, which is a little bit more serious. And I'm going to be coming out with a progressive woodworking video series too, to start you from the beginning with hand tools and move you along. And there's a book coming out next year too. The I Can Do It book will be out next.
You talk about this different series, but it's still on the YouTube channel Wood Chopping Time.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you subscribe to Wood Chopping Time on YouTube, you'll get all these new series postings.
Okay, and that is an apostrophe instead of wood chopping, right?
Yeah. It's CHOPPIN.
Okay.
No G, because I don't
space and then time. Okay, just to make sure people can find it easily.
But yeah, just to clarify, I build for customers for a living. I really don't do this for. So all that crap I just said that I do. You know, that's not my main job.
Don't believe anything I just said.
yeah, right. Yeah, I just made that all up.
So it's safe to say that a lot of what you do is outside of social media and YouTube is sort of secondary to all that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like I said, I try and tell people that YouTube is, I guess, the hobby, the fun, and I apologize for people who want me to be more regular with videos, but I work 7 days a week, about anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. It's really hard to squeeze in filming, editing videos. So for all you folks watching and would like to contribute a few bucks to Charles' show here, I would highly encourage it, because this is not easy stuff to do. So
I did not pay him to say that, but
no, I get a percentage, everybody.
well, now they're going to start taking away money. Real quickly, and I know for a fact some people on the panel have questions, but I just wanted to jump through a couple because I know the topic of the show was woodworking as a business, but I wanted to jump into other little things. Is it okay to ask y'all how long y'all met? I mean, how y'all met? How long y'all known each other?
I'll let him take that one.
I was walking down the street, man.
Literally.
Yeah. He moved in about 3 or 4 doors from me, and we ended up being neighbors, and that's how we met.
Yeah, but I gotta tell the story how we met. So I moved into the neighborhood, and I work right out of my house. My 2.5 car garage is my shop. My wife has never seen a car parked in here because it's my workshop.
It's a shop.
And so the one day this kid walks into my shop, and he has 2 sticks, and he says, "Hey, mister, can you nail these together for me?" And I said, "Why?" He goes, "I want to make a sword." I was like, no, that's not how you make a sword. So I took out a piece of plywood and I cut this really cool sword. So of course he ran off. He came back with his buddy. "Hey, can you make a sword for my friend?" So
where did I start?
Yeah. And so needless to say, that day I made 14 swords.
Lord.
And each sword was different. No 2 are the same. And of course my wife comes home, and there's all these kids in the yard doing battle. So it kind of freaked her out a little bit. But then the next day I'm out in my front yard, and I see this guy walking down the sidewalk coming towards me. And the first thing I do is I kind of look around to see if he might be going after anyone else. And as he gets, I don't know, about 50 yards from me, he says, "Did you make a sword for my son?" And I said, "It's quite possible." I don't know which son it was. It made 14. And then he stuck out his hand and he said, "That was like the coolest thing anyone's ever done." And so, from that day forward, we became like best friends.
That is awesome. I don't know if I made a sword. Well, he just killed his sister. Thank you. I'm kidding. Actually, let me go back and forth because I know Eloy had some questions, and I don't want to hog the whole thing before we get to the woodworking for a living. Eloy, you said you had some fanboy questions?
Yes, I just want to say to you guys, welcome, and thank you for doing the show. I am a huge fan.
We got one.
You guys, you guys, like years and years and years. You know, I've been watching. I pressed the bell before even bells existed to notify you. And I just want to say that I was there when you said you had to transition over to the other channel to do the woodworking thing for them. Yeah. I was one of those people that was like, damn it, no, stay. I just want to say that you guys rock, and although you have the comedy, the balance is the seriousness and the detail of the work, and then the comedy. It's a perfect combination. It's kept me in. Let's put it this way: when I saw you in the Facebook group, I was like, no, it can't be. So I'm like literally an actual one of those dumbass fans that's like. I just wanted to say that. That's all. I got more, but I just want to say that. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think I gotta say I'm really humbled by it because it's true. We have been doing this show on YouTube for 10 years.
Wow.
10 years. You know.
I was 2 years old.
Not to make you feel old.
But I mean, it's a little embarrassing because I think we've been one of the longest, woodworking YouTube guys out there, but our subscription numbers are really low. And like I said, that's just because I don't do a good job with regular videos. I'm not big on the whole, networking or whatever they do. It's just not me. But I'm really humbled by you saying you're a huge fan. Thank you very much.
Just one. The thing about what you do is, well, because you're doing it right, and there's all the little Easter eggs and all the details that you it's thoughtful, and yet you're doing it in a lighthearted way, and then at the same time you guys have skilled, detailed projects that one could consume. So you have all these things, and it reminds me of the shows like way back when. That you'd see on TV, and I know you're drawing from all these things.
Yeah.
And so it's very much appreciated, and I just wanted to say that to you guys, in person. So
you know what? It's really cool you say that because most people kind of don't get the depth of it. I mean, first of all, I purposely gave myself a stupid name, the Big Chopperoo, because I don't think anyone should ever have an ego in woodworking. So if someone calls themselves a master woodworker, I'll tell you right now, there is no such thing. It's an self-appointed title. You cannot become a master woodworker. So I thought, I'm just going to give myself the goofiest name ever, but it has some authority sounding to it.
Well, in your defense, you passed up Stud Puppy Stanley. I mean, you did, you went for Chopperoo because Stud Puppy Stanley, you didn't want to be too arrogant with that. So I get it.
Yeah, and
he's looking at me like he knows what the hell I'm talking about.
I know. I'm just going with it. So, but Safety Dan, his whole thing was, cracking on how we have to not be politically correct, but you have to appease the lawyers. You have to tell people that knives are sharp and blades are spinning. So I just thought, well, I'm going to do the most ridiculous thing and make a guy that is totally unsafe my safety guy. So yeah, and as far as like all the little nuances, the sound effects. People don't realize how much I slave over those little things, and so for someone to realize that and appreciate it, it just takes countless hours. I usually tell people every minute of footage that I film, it's about 1 hour for me to edit. Mm-hmm. So an 8-minute video was an 8-hour day of editing, and just so you guys know, I get up at 5 in the morning, and that's when I do my editing. I edit until about 7. So it's tough to do all this. So thank you so much for noticing all the hard work that goes into it.
Well, the word that he mentioned was the balance, and when I first started watching, I didn't give it that chance, but he's right. The goofiness makes it entertaining, but if anybody takes the time to watch the video, you are I'm gonna say a wordy dirt, a damn good woodworker.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, if anybody takes the time, they'll see that.
Well, that's it. And I've had to find a balance with the humor. I used to put the humor right up front, and I think it was discouraging viewers, because before we even got into the meat of the subject, I'm already, doing some kind of green screen cutaway nonsense. And so now I try and like lay the groundwork for a joke, and then we do the joke usually at the end. So most people, they can shut off before I dance or whatever. So,
does anybody else on the panel have any questions for them? Or
yeah, I always tuned in just to see Safety Dan.
Yeah, people were in the chat before the show started saying, "I love Safety Dan."
See, everything that you're seeing with me, with what I'm doing, it's Chad. He just I walk in and he goes, "Hey, just do this." And I'm like, all right, and I have no clue where it's gonna go or what's gonna come out of it,
Well, before you started putting the bloopers at the end, I kept thinking, how can he do all that stuff with a straight face?
Exactly.
Well, we had a couple of rough episodes where he had to either hit me or throw something at me, and he didn't want to do it. And he would hit me like real soft, and I'm like, come on, that's not gonna look real. The one was with a board. Yeah, he had to hit me with a board, and he was kind of like doing it real gingerly. I'm like, man, that's not gonna work. Then he cracked me good with the board, and it was so funny because man, he smacked me. You can hear it and everything, and then we did the 2-second pause so we could cut, and then he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?"
Well, the key to getting it to be even more real is waking him up at 2 or 3 in the morning to do it.
Oh,
you bet your butt I'll slam a board across your forehead.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys got a great show. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Chad, did you have anything? Chad Grouseclaws, did you want to
Well, first I was going to say, I've been to Toledo many times. My wife was actually born there and raised there, so she's got a lot of family there.
Stop on out.
Yeah, next time we're in town, I'll definitely
absolutely.
look you up. I guess the main question I had was, because I noticed there was an accent, and I was thinking you were from Texas in my head for some reason. But then I realized, I was like, he's got a northern accent. I'm originally from Minnesota, so I notice these things. I guess that's about it for the moment.
We're usually mistaken for being Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that is. I think a couple of terms. What's that?
Probably all the beer.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, Dan strikes me as pure Southern. I mean, you could get away with a little further. Take off, eh? Poser. Yeah.
I don't want to offend any of your Canadian fans.
In Texas, they all talk like this, so you can pretty much get away with it. But they all act like Dan, so it just all kind of works out. You know what I mean? There. So does anybody in the chat have a question? Because I don't want to hog all the questions before we get.
I don't want to hog all the questions. I have one.
It's okay.
One request. So the lantern that you got, the replica lantern you guys made.
Yeah.
From early America, 17, 18, 17, like colonial.
It was more 1861, 1864. That's what they used in our Civil War, between North and South. So yeah.
That
a
was
lot of people. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of people don't know, but you do research on some of the projects you do to accurately talk about the era or the design features, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm really huge into this, and I mean, you don't get this coming across on the Wood Shop in Time videos. That's why I'm doing the new video series called Just Plain Board, because I am huge into the history of woodworking, whether it's tools or symbolism and carving, techniques, the origin of where a certain piece of furniture comes from and why it was made like that. There's a whole world of knowledge out there that's essentially getting lost because we're kind of leaving that behind. And so I just want to share some of this information with people, so that I don't call this my job, I call it my craft. And I hope others will dive into woodworking as deep, as much as I love it.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm multitasking. Squirrel. So I love doing this. No, actually, no, I'm tickled to death. I'm just like
do you
Leroy.
root for the Toledo Mud Hens?
Yeah.
That's a MASH reference.
I am pathetic. I am not a sports guy. In fact, other than woodworking, I am the most boring guy you will ever meet. So, yeah.
I only go downtown to watch, because of the bars. I don't even watch the game.
I got to drive them home then.
Yeah.
Okay, since and Paul and Al, if anybody in the chat does have a question, feel free to interrupt.
There is a question.
That was actually from the chat.
Oh, that was okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Al.
I'm sorry. There is a question from Tommy G. Do you YouTube your customer projects, or do you keep your customer projects and your YouTube projects separate? And your YouTube projects separate?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I am trying to incorporate that now. I'm trying to incorporate some of my customers' projects with it. I don't, because it takes so much time to set up the camera, get the angle right. And honestly, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot when I say this. I hate doing the filming because I love to focus on the job. I want to be centered just on the woodworking project. And when you got to stop and think about camera angles and the lighting and, to get all this, my focus no more isn't on the job. So usually I don't film customer jobs, but with me saying that, I have a couple right over here I am filming. So.
Yeah, it does. And I think any of these makers that do stuff on YouTube, it does. It doubles or triples the time it takes to get a video out. But
yeah,
I'll go ahead and jump into my off-topic questions. What is your favorite tool, if you had to pick just one?
It's funny because some years ago, American Woodworker magazine asked me the same question: what's my favorite tool? And I came back with well, is it a tool that I'm just sentimentally attached to, or is it a tool that I use to make money with? So they said make money with. And so I gave them a list of 10 tools, and that one little page turned into, I think, a 3-page article. I listed all 10 tools. So I'll ask you, are you asking me, what's my favorite tool I use every day to make money, do my job, or just one that I personally am attached to?
Let's say both, just to get an angle on both answers.
Well, if I could only have one power tool, it would be the table saw. I can do so much with the table saw. That's my money maker for me in the shop, without a doubt. If it's a tool that I'm just kind of attached to, it's a hand plane that I picked up a couple years ago at a flea market for $15, and I use that thing every day. Every day. I'll get it for you. It doesn't even have a place on a shelf because I use it so much. So.
Okay.
Wow.
Not to interrupt, but I got a couple questions here.
Okay, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
John Schaffner wants to know, does Safety Dan do any woodworking?
No. I am an iron worker.
And Jeff Robinson wants to know, do you have a scroll saw and do you use it?
I asked him that too earlier.
Yeah, I do have a scroll saw, and there's certain tools that I own and use only when the job requires it. A scroll saw is one. The other one is my lathe. I have a nice lathe, but I only use it when the job actually requires it. So I don't know. I try and I was telling Charles, I don't have patience for that whole scroll saw.
I know, and I was telling him it takes me all day to make a picture frame, but he doesn't have the patience to use a scroll saw, so it's kind of a weird toss-up.
You know, it's all that drill a hole, put the blade in, tighten it all up, get the tension right, cut, take it apart, do it all.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
Well, going back to Dan, I mean, Dan, do you have a passion for ironwork, or is it just to get by a living?
Well, I suppose I did have a passion for it until I retired.
So you just kind of doing Chad's thing. Okay.
Yeah, no, actually I got another job after I retired, but it just got to be too rough, it's a young man's game.
Yeah, most definitely.
After doing it, 27 years, it's like I had enough.
I can imagine it. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't do much for your back and knees.
No, not at all. That's exactly why I retired.
That runs in my family. I'm sorry to hear that, but by God, you're safety, Dan, and that's bigger than everything before that. By God. Okay.
So Dan, I got a quick question. By ironwork, what exactly was that entailing? What kind of work?
I did all the commercial and industrial fencing for like prisons or factories or
the expressways.
The expressways, all their electric gates, gate operators, that kind of stuff.
Like welding or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So have you guys ever thought about doing a collaboration where you incorporate metal and wood?
It's on the spot because Dan's looking Dan's looking at him like, yeah, man, all the stuff's been on you. Include me now. Come on now.
I honestly, I don't like metal because it's so dirty. I mean, it's just
icky poo.
I just, I admire people that can do it. I love watching, when someone forges something out of fire. But oh my God, I can't stand the mess it makes. So don't know.
Well, you could film the metals work at his garage.
There you go.
Then film the wood part of it, and just incorporate almost like a YouTube collaboration. But you guys are neighbors, so
it's a good idea.
That's like industrial work is really big. I love metalworking as well as woodworking. So
yes, I could see the appeal that it would have to Chad Grossclaws. Is there a project you have not done that you would love to do if you could pick it? I mean, I know you, rather than generalizing, is there a certain project you've never gotten to do that you would like to do?
Yeah. For about, I think 10 years, I've got the plans over there on the wall of a Chippendale style lowboy, where it's got all the ball and claw and the foliage and everything on it. And I've done the carvings themselves on individual pieces, but I actually want to build that. For me, that's like the holy grail, building a Chippendale style lowboy. So I have the plans. I actually even have a piece of mahogany that I bought, and it was I had it shipped in here from Pennsylvania. The UPS guy brought it back here. He said he's never delivered a piece of wood before, but it's a 4-inch thick, 8-foot long piece of mahogany that I'm going to carve the legs out of. And because I'm always working for others, I don't really get to do much for myself. So
would you just close your door, say do not disturb it? Is a lowboy a bed or a chair or something?
It's like a dresser. It's a very fancy dresser from about the 1700s. So
yeah, I love the clawfoot design on dang near everything, but that's just me. I don't want to look like I'm jumping over things just to get to more questions, but it's pretty much what I'm doing. Who do you admire? Because everybody has somebody they admire.
Well, seriously, I mean, it's going to sound like I'm just goofing around here, but honestly, I admire this guy. He's my best friend, and I'm actually a pretty private guy, but this guy here, he is truly amazing, you know. But
no, you meant about woodworking, man.
right, I was gonna say in woodworking.
You put a saw in my hand, I'm taking some fingers off.
So I was waiting for Dan to say Pamela Anderson or something like that.
in woodworking, it would be Frank Klaus, and I have the privilege of being friends with Frank Klaus. And it's funny because people will ask me, "Oh, when you hang out with Frank, you know, does he give you a whole bunch of woodworking advice?" And no, he doesn't, because he doesn't want to talk woodworking when we hang out. But he gives me a lot of just good advice, you know, as far as being a good person and you know, doing the right things in business. So yeah, I really admire Frank a lot.
Well, one thing you and I talked about, thank you for answering that, by the way. And well, while we're on it, Dan, do you have anybody you admire? I mean, not to plug you into talking about Chad. But,
I don't know. Probably my dad.
Yeah, he was a good man.
He you know, I started working, putting up fence when I was 9 with him.
Wow.
You know, and he did it for over 60 years.
Wow.
And you know, he taught me a lot.
Yeah, most of what my dad taught me was character building versus physical. But so I admire my dad for that and his service to the country. And that, of course, show's not about me, but I'm glad I was able to get both of y'all to answer that. And I guess this could be for both of y'all, but I guess more so Chad. Have you reached your goal? Do you even know what your goal is?
No, I haven't. I gotta explain. I mean, the old saying, you know, be careful what you wish for because it might come true. There's some serious truth to that. I want to say right off the bat that I feel very fortunate to be where I'm at. I mean, I've had some, I don't want to say good breaks because it's always been a lot of hard work to get in the game. But my ultimate goal is I just want to build my own style of furniture and people buy it and actually make a living at that, you know. So I realize that's a big dream, but I do have steps to get there because as a couple of you said tonight that, you know, after watching the videos, you can tell that I actually know what I'm doing when it comes to woodworking.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people at first glance watching the show, they don't realize that I've had to prove myself, and it's worked. Being in the magazine, doing the other national videos, being guest speakers at different places. I will say to you guys, hard work pays off, and if you just stick at it and don't go away, you know, opportunities will arise. But because they basically noticed, like, oh, that Chad guy, he's still doing his YouTube videos. We told him he sucked, and he's still doing his videos, you know. And you just don't go away. Eventually, they start to come around, and so I'm hoping to keep working at it, and I'm trying to steer myself into that direction. But yeah, I would just love to build my own style furniture and have people buy it. Right now, I'm building furniture for my customers. It's what they want. It's not my style. I'm building exactly what they tell me to build.
So you want to be able to build what you want to build, and people want it. And
yeah, I want to design it. You know, I mean, a good example would be like Sam Alouf. You know, Sam Alouf's furniture, his chairs, his rocking chairs, especially. You know, they're in the White House and so on. I would love to someone want my style of furniture in their home versus someone calling me and saying, "Hey, can you build me some bookcases?" You know.
Well, if money's not involved, I'll be your guinea pig. Just throwing that out there. Of course, I tend to be into rustic stuff, but anyways, I just had to be a little bit funny there. But now, you said that there are people that either love you or hate you because of your humor. Has your humor or your shtick, that's what I'll call it.
Yeah.
Because again, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, that yes, he has a goofy side to him, but that goofiness you see among them is not the everyday Chad. I mean,
Right.
And this is from having talked to him before. He's a very sincere, good man, as is Dan. But has y'all's, I keep calling it a shtick. I can't think of another term for it. Has y'all's, we'll just call it goofiness. Has y'all's goofiness ever closed any doors for you that you didn't see coming?
Yeah.
We actually almost got, well, we've never been in an argument, but that was about as close as it was going to get because he had an opportunity to do something. But the people that were going to do it had some concerns. Guess what the concerns were?
Safety, Dan. I'd safety, Dan.
And I told him, I said, just drop that part of it and go on. You know, it's going to get you where you want to go. And he wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I won't give it up.
Well, if nothing else, that proves the friendship right there to the core. I mean, that's my opinion because I cherish friendships. Anyway, I mean, okay, aside from that, I mean, I don't want to dig too deep because I know, some things are private. Was it sponsorships? Was it TV shows? I mean, how many things have you had to choose between? That was probably a weird way of wording it. Where the humor, they didn't like it.
Yeah, it's been several things. I mean, I'm telling you, it's been a lot. Yeah, because like I said, we've been doing the show 10 years, and so we've had some. Early on, we had some great offers on stuff because they thought it was so funny. Of course, everyone loves Safety Dan, but they wanted me to drop some issues, and I was like, well, that's the whole reason you like Safety Dan is because what he does, and yet you're now afraid to sponsor that. So, like I said, my passion is woodworking. My passion is not to be some huge celebrity. If it goes that way, as long as I'm building furniture, you're not going to see me doing ads on TV for, detergent soap or anything like that. It's got to be woodworking because that's what I love to do. And like I said, I make my money here in my shop. I just, like I said, I have certain principles that I live by, and I'm not going to let it sway me just for a couple of bucks flashed in front of me. So.
I think that says a lot that you turn them down because of something as simple as him drinking or smoking on a video. I mean, because, and I feel safe saying this, I won't use the word typical, but to me, Dan represents the stereotypical guy in his shop. A beer and a cigarette, and then doing some work in the shop. And I think that's why he appeals to so many people. Hey.
And I tailor the characters after like high school. I mean, if you will, the cool rebel guy who skips class, doesn't do anything. The cool one, everyone wants to be like him, but we all know that guy in high school isn't going to amount to anything. And then you got, the nerdy, dorky guy that, no girl ever wants to ask out, just everyone, he sits at a lunch table by himself, but he can pass all the tests.
That was me.
He'll probably do something in his life. And here we are as adults, I make these characters again, and it still proves that people love him and they don't like me.
I just love the look he gave you when you said they'll never amount to anything. He looked at you like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, so which one is which? Yeah.
They're characters.
And a lot of people don't know that it's characters, and that's part of why I wanted to do this show, so people know that it's not just, a couple guys goofing around. I mean, there's a serious passion behind it. I think Dan does it as Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you do it because you care about Chad as a friend and you want to help support the journey he's taking, and I love that. I mean,
you hit it right on the head, man.
Every now and then I use both my brain cells, I'm telling you. But
I gotta tell the story. So my very early episodes, it was just me, and I was showing it to him, and he's like, "You're really on to something here. The whole idea of woodworking and a little bit of comedy." He's like, "You're really on to something big." He goes, "This is going to happen for you." I thought, "Oh, you're just being a good loyal friend." So he comes to me the one day and says, Chad, I just want to be in one episode, just one episode. And, I'm thinking, how do I put him in an episode? He's not a woodworker. What you see is what you get, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask him, go home and do your hair different or something, So then it came to me. I remembered Saturday night, no, not Saturday, late night with David Letterman.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Late night?
Yeah.
He had this war going on with Oprah Winfrey years ago. He said he was never on Oprah. And so he would do like this countdown every day, okay, day 365. Did Oprah call yet? No. And so then he starts mocking Oprah a little bit more. And he has these two backstage guys, and they would come out and just read a couple of transcript lines from Oprah's show that day. And the one guy, he had a cigarette that was just dangling from his mouth, and he would read the lines in this real monotone voice. And I was mesmerized by that cigarette, that it didn't fall out. So I wanted to take that guy and turn him into Safety Dan. So Dan would stand there with the cigarette, and exactly. He would stand there and give you your ridiculous safety advice, and
2 lines, man, and I needed cue cards.
Yeah, but he's a lot better now. So
45 takes later.
that's where the character came from. Actually, it was from David Letterman's thing.
That's funny. Is there anybody on the panel or out in the chat that has a question? I only have one more question, then we can get into woodworking as a business. I totally forgot to go there.
Tommy, he puts down Dan so elegantly. He does it with style.
With attitude.
What is tonight's drinking word again? Is
well, some people are saying safety should be the okay. These hangout shows, everybody wants a drinking word out in the chat.
Tonight's drinking word is the.
Yeah, I came up with that because I know people want to get snockered on the weekends, but
hey, on Thanksgiving we used the word turkey.
Oh Lord, y'all want some white meat?
actually, it's pretty funny. We've turned the Macy's Day Parade into a drinking game.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, whenever they say things like, coming up next, or we'll be right back, or let's check in with Al Roker. Yeah.
So before Santa even shows up, y'all are passed out on the floor.
We do have a question for Chad from
go ahead.
Dockrell. He said, "What does Chad have for a table saw?"
Oh, pretty good question. I've actually got a couple of table saws. I have a Hitachi one that is probably, 10 or 12 years old. That I like. It's funny. The table saws I'm real fussy about. I don't have the real nice one yet. That's I want to name drop. What's the one that's got the brake on it? I can't.
Stop.
Yeah, stop. I don't have that because the ones I have are doing so well. So I have the Hitachi. The only complaint I would have with it is that the sawdust will get thrown to the side into the gears when you want to change the angle of the blade. So the solution I have for that is the vacuum that's hooked to it. On the vacuum on the exhaust port, I hook another hose, and then I spray that down the throat plate of the table saw, so it creates like a giant vortex in there. It blows and sucks at the same time. Well, can I say that?
Yeah. I was going there too in my head.
We just got demonetized.
And then the other table saw that I have, because I'm lazy and I don't want to change the saw blade, so the other table saw is set up with a stacked dado head, and that's an older Powermatic one, and I like that because it tilts the opposite direction that my Hitachi tilts. So,
well, something funny that Chad and I were talking about earlier, because we were testing to see audio, video, blah 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 blah. We were talking about, dangerous tools, and which almost everybody talks about, but me and him actually agreed on what could, in his opinion, is the most dangerous tool, which is a hand router.
Yeah, I think the hand router, in my opinion. The other video series that I do with Popular Woodworking, I can do that. It's aimed at the basic beginner woodworker. So if you have like a circular saw, a jigsaw, and a miter saw, they don't give me a table saw, not yet. But they've always let me use a hand router, and that's always kind of bothered me because, you know, you're using the router, you turn it off. What do? You pick it up and you're looking at your work while this thing is still spinning.
Yeah.
Or you set it down too soon while it's still spinning, or you can go the wrong way and, you know, it'll grab the grain and pull on you. I think they're dangerous for a beginner, but apparently
I do too, because if anybody that's ever used one, you lift it up, it's got that torque. You can feel the torque trying to move the whole thing. Same with a, what do you call it?
Angle grinder.
Angle grinder, exactly. Thank you for reading my mind. And that segues me into the last question I had. This show might run long. I hope you didn't make any plans. Anyway, I'm just kidding. If y'all need to go, sorry, Eli.
I have one more whenever you have a chance.
Right now, go for it.
Okay, thank you. So you had a video. This is a 2-in-1 question. I'm gonna. So you had a video where you guys built I guess you'd say a communal library. You know, I don't know what you'd call it. It's one of those things where you open up and you put a book, share a book.
Yes, yeah, little library. Yeah.
Is that still up and running?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. In fact, I gotta say, I was real happy. I was sponsored by, I think it was Titebond glue to do a series of videos, and I was looking to do something with a nonprofit organization, and so my editor came across the little library, and I loved it because I really have a personal connection to the library. That is where I learned my woodworking, way before the internet and the whole YouTube thing. And I read just about every woodworking book at the library that was by me. And so I thought this would be kind of a neat little thing for me to give back. So yeah, I built a little like red schoolhouse, and you open it and it has books in it. And I put it out front. I think it's been about 5 years now. It's been out there. Yeah, at least 5 years. And the neighborhood uses it constantly. It's always changing over books. So the concept is you take a book, you leave a book. This way kids or even adults, you know, will always, anytime, have a book available to them. And we were the first one in Toledo, proud to say that, first one in Toledo to have one. And the president of that company, the littlelibrary.org, he actually called me and said it was one of the best little libraries he's ever seen. And he wanted to talk to me about making a production of them so that they could sell them. And that's not my thing. I'm not a production guy. I make, you know, one-of-a-kind stuff, and that's it. So
yeah, that's what you and I were talking about earlier. You said you hate getting stuck in that production mode, and
yeah.
And that's what keeps you going is the variety. And I know that, like when you get customers, you got to do what they want to do versus what you want to do. So you're kind of stuck on both ends of that. So I kind of get it. Well, the one question I had said, does TV limit you? But you already answered that when you mentioned that you can't have a table saw yet. So I guess that sort of answered that.
Yeah, but there's more things that limit you. You know, again, be careful what you wish for. So, you know, anyone out there wanting to be a YouTube star or, you know, a video star, TV star, or whatever, you realize that in the beginning it sounds like fun because you're doing woodworking, you're getting paid for it and becoming popular. But at some point then you start paying attention to either your sponsors, you know, are they happy with the numbers? They don't care what you're making, you know. They only care, are you getting your numbers, subscribers, you know, whatever, clicks to their website and so on and so forth. So now you're thinking of projects that are gonna best be suited for them and maybe not challenging yourself as a woodworker. I was once told by my editor, old editor, Randy Johnson, that a triangle, and at the top of the triangle is the very best woodworkers that can do the most skilled things. But at the bottom, the base, is where all the simple stuff is. But the base is where your biggest audience is, not at the point. So, you know, guys that can, you know, make birdhouses all day long and be really, really popular, I'm not making light of them. Trust me, I'm not making light of any woodworker. But the simpler projects are where your core and your base is. You get way up to the top where, like we were talking before, you know, Chippendale style lowboys, a lot of people go, I don't care about that. So, you know, when you get sponsors or TV or subscribers, you got to wonder who you're working for at that point.
Yeah, and I can, although the show's not about me, I can kind of relate to that because even in the magazines I used to be in, they lean, and I'll even tell you this, at least back in the era where I was in them a lot, they would tell you they design the covers and they try to pick things that will lure in the beginners, because unfortunately that's kind of the market for production in a way, is to lure in the people that are new to it, at least as far as teaching, I guess, is for lack of a better way of putting it. But that's the same roadblock I ran into, is you're limited to what they think works.
Yeah.
And that's why I haven't been in the magazine in a while, but I mean, that's not to down the magazine. They're doing pretty good. But I guess we can jump into the woodworking, as that was the topic of the show, and it took me an hour to get there. Sorry. Well, I'm happy it went rolling along. Real quickly, is there any questions from the chat or any kind of?
I got a quick question. I got two questions.
10-4.
One is, what came first, YouTube or all the other woodworking related celebrity type jobs, the speaking engagements, the media, magazine, the TV show?
Yeah.
And then the second one is, what's your exit strategy from doing the customer based projects and into what you really want to do?
Wow.
Good question.
Yeah, great questions.
Very good question.
I have an answer for both. Don't know if it'll work. I don't know if the
I'm
second
sure you
one
had a
will
lot of
work.
time to think about them.
Well, okay, so the I was obviously as a woodworker first. I started off as a handyman. That's a funny story. I don't know if you want to hear about that, but I started off as a handyman, worked and got my remodeling contractor's license, got more into, well, I had always been doing finished carpentry from the beginning, and so then just kind of steered it more into furniture. But I wanted to get published in a magazine. That was, I gotta say, the very first article I got published still ranks as one of the biggest days in my life, because I always looked at the magazines and thought, wow, one day I want to be like that. And here I was getting published for an article. It was rather complex. It was a mitered mortise and tenon article, and I submitted it. But I also submitted a video that I made with it. And the editor called me, and no joke, this is exactly how it goes. He calls me, he's like, yeah, Chad, this is Randy Johnson from American Woodworker Magazine. I got your submission for the article. And I'm out here in the shop, and I'm like, oh, wow, yeah. He says, well, I gotta say it's a good topic, like the article. He said, I also watched the video. And I was like, okay.
Uh-oh.
And he goes, and my thoughts are, can you hold a minute? I got someone else on the other line.
And you're sweating.
He puts me on hold right at that point. And it was his wife that called in. But the whole time I'm thinking, he's going to tell me I hate this video. You know, you ruined all credibility. The article, because the video, it's like the longest 3 minutes of my life. And then he comes back on and he says, when I first started watching the video, I had serious doubts. He said, during the course of the video, he said, I realized you really knew what you were doing, that you clearly do this for a living. He said, by the end of the video, I was an instant fan. And wow. So it was a combination of both. That's what I was saying, if you really want something. But I had been submitting articles for 2 years to them. for 2 years, you know, and they weren't taking anything. So once that door opened, I worked really well with my regular editor, which was Tom Casper. They liked my work. I was easy to work with. Anything they asked, you know, I did make the changes and deadlines and so on. So then I became a regular contributing editor. So I was in, before they got shut down, I was in 5 of the 6 issues that come out of here. That then led to the other things, you know, the other shows and speaking. And I got to say, being published in the article, the magazine, is where the local Woodcraft first noticed me then, and they had me out. And the local Woodcraft here in Toledo, Carol and John Nystrom, great people. They passed my name along to corporate, and corporate's been noticing me. So,
but they had some concerns.
Did the concerns look like this?
Yeah.
I think it's a cheaper brand, but yes. But yeah, so I guess the YouTube thing, was there. That definitely helped me. Also kind of hurt me. It really has hurt me. My YouTube series, I think, has held me back. I think I'd be a lot farther if I'd give up the comedy thing. But hey, there's a ton of serious woodworking shows out there. If that's what you want, go for it. You know, I'm not forcing anyone to watch our show by any means.
Well, in my humble opinion, Chad, I think you're a lot further than a lot of people are. I mean, a lot of people would say you're already succeeding, and I'm not saying you're not saying you're succeeding, but obviously you're not where you want to be. But no, I mean, I envy the heck out of your success so far.
Yeah, that honestly, that blows my mind, because you know, when I look at my subscriber numbers based on these other guys, and they're calling me to be, you know, guest speakers, or to do a show, or do a video series, or to, you know, do a book or whatever. You know, I'm like, are you sure you want me? You know, you'll sell more books with that guy than with this one.
Question from the chat.
All right.
And I guess this is to both of you. What does Dan have coming up for safety gags? Dan, what do you got?
For safety guys?
For gags, for safety gags, like,
safety
skits.
Jokes.
Is this secret, or
Well, has the script been written yet?
You're right. It's a secret to me. I do what he tells me. It's all, I'm telling you, it's all him. He just goes, Dan, do this.
So it's secret safety gags. That's what it is, Jim.
Yeah, no, none yet. Well, I'll let you know when the next script is out. Sorry, I don't think I answered Chad's second question though, because he asked me, you know, did YouTube get me to where I am, and it definitely had a start. But how am I gonna get to my final destination of just building my own style furniture? I don't know if this will work. I really don't know. But my idea is to, I'm trying to go for some sponsorship now. I've never asked for sponsorship in the past. People have usually approached me, but I'm out pursuing sponsorship next year for Wood Chopping Time and these other new video series. And with the sponsorship from them, I'm hoping I can wean off some of my customers and start building my own style furniture in these videos. And of course, the video will probably, I'll probably have to groom the videos separate from Wood Chopping Time, more of like an artistic feel to it. And hopefully then one day just be selling the furniture and not even have to worry about doing videos or sponsorship or anything.
Yeah, and you're doing this popular woodworker thing and the other gig you were talking about, so it's still in a way holding you back from getting there. But you also, you strike me as the kind of person that doesn't want to disappoint, and that's why your plate is so full, besides the customers, obviously.
Well, I like to work. You know, I like to work, and I gotta say again, with working hard and sticking to it, Scott Phillips of the TV show The American Woodworker, American Woodshop, he called me. He actually stopped out and saw me as a guest speaker down in Dayton. There's a Dayton woodworking club that hired me to come down and do a presentation, and he stopped out and he actually missed my presentation, but he said so many people were talking about it. He pulled me aside and said, you know, well, what did you do? And so I showed him like 2 minutes what I did. And he said, I want you on my show next year. And I was like, you know, okay. Scott's got a show that's been on TV for 25 years, you know. And so true to his word, he called me up and went down just about a month ago. Mm-hmm. Went down to his shop and we filmed the episode. It'll be coming out, I think, springtime. And Scott is, man, he's exactly what you see. He's a really humble, nice, enthusiastic guy. It was another highlight in my career to be asked by the host to be on the show. I didn't go looking for him. So it was a great time. So.
Yeah, because you said you were tickled to death when you got in the magazine, and that's one thing I can actually relate to. So I was tickled to death. Holy crap, I'm going to be famous. You know, that was my inexperienced mind. But
you know, and see again, that's where you got to be careful, because I've probably got maybe, I don't know, 20 different articles out there over the years that I've done, and I never had that same, I guess if you will, high or excitement from the very first article. Yeah. And what happens is, just like what you're saying, you start chasing this rainbow that you'll never get. So you think, hey, I'm popular, I'm famous, I'm on the newsstand in you know, in every Home Depot and that. And then as soon as that month is gone, and the next issue comes out, you start feeling like you gotta compete, you gotta get back out there, or people are gonna forget me.
Yeah, one up yourself. Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible to get caught up in that. So, you know, I would just say, stay humble, be thankful for every opportunity you get. The ones you don't get, there's probably a good reason for it. You know, just do what you love.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying about, and it's not really the burnout, but like the initial one. Because I'm the same way with sponsors. There are some out there that would say, you know, go right to so-and-so, see if they'll sponsor you. But I think because my first time being published, they pursued me. That was flattery in itself.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, am I arrogant to want a potential sponsor to find me? Because if they come to me, then the decision's on me if I want to do it. But if I got to chase them down, am I begging? You know, I mean, I know it's all in how you do it, but that's the battle I've had.
I'll say this much, you know, now that I've told you I'm going to be going after some sponsorship. I've been given some stuff, and I am talking with a few people on some things, and you'll probably see some products in upcoming videos. But I made this really clear with every one of them. You send me your product, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use it for a while. Not like I'm just going to get it. Hey, you guys, check out, you know, this. I got this because it's free, so now I'm going to plug it. I say I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for a while. I'm first going to write an honest blog about it, whether I like it or not, and I'm going to send it back to the manufacturer. And I'm going to say, do you want me to publish this? And if they say no, you were a little rough on us.
Truth hurts.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I won't publish it, but I'm also not going to promote their tool or their product or their whatever. I'm not going to promote it. And if they want their item back, I will ship it back to them, you know. But for me, it's really crucial. I don't want to become like a tool whore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just because it was given to me, I don't want to tell you guys it's the greatest thing out there, because
truthful and honest.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your guys' condition is, but like, money doesn't grow on trees around here. And you know, if you saved up money to buy something and I gave it a great review and you get it and it's the biggest piece of junk, I'm not doing anyone a service then.
And that makes you look bad. Exactly. I mean, see, honestly, and I think a reputable company would respect that.
They all have. Yeah, they all have said that. There's I won't say the tool or the name, but there's one that they gave me, and man, I am not impressed with it. I don't think they're gonna like my review, but that's okay. They all said the same thing. We want an honest review because, you know, how can they make their tools better? So.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if Ryobi ever asked me to review their scroll saw, I'll say hell no.
Couple of questions from the chat.
Okay.
One of them comes from JP from JP Woodwork. He asks, what podcasts, if any, do you listen to? Cough, cough. LOL.
Okay. I say this with sincere honesty, and I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but I really don't listen to anyone's podcasts. I don't watch anyone's YouTube videos. And again, well, yeah, I don't have the time, but I don't want that to sound like I'm arrogant by any means. But you know, I'm working so much that the only time I look something up online is if I'm really researching it for history or something very specific. And I don't want to be influenced either, even subconsciously, for like one of my shows or one of my projects. I don't want someone to say, oh, well, you know, Chad did that because he saw my video. I can honestly sleep at night knowing that, you know, anything I do out here, I either learned through books or trial and error. And my customers are the greatest way for me to learn woodworking because they push me. Yeah. If my customers weren't asking and demanding certain things, I would stick to what I know best, which would be easy stuff. And if I want to put food on the table, you know, I'm going to push myself to do what they want. So, yeah, I'm sorry. It's not that I don't like anyone's show. I can honestly say I just haven't had time to watch anyone's show.
Okay. Well, some people do it in the background as like, I don't want to say background noise because that's disrespectful, but some people will do it while they're doing other things. But if you're like me, I can listen to music while I'm working, but you know, anything with talking, I find myself paying too much attention to it. But real quickly, Al Forte wanted to shout out somebody in the chat real quick.
Yeah, and actually, he also had a question too. But what I'll do is I'll shout out, and then I'll say what his question was. I want to shout out to Jim Bashirs, who, as a maker, sent me these right here. And I know, oh, this is getting.
Oh, is that Star Wars?
Yeah, yeah. There you go. I see what you did there. I see what you did. But anyway, sorry, folks. I don't know if you can see it or if it.
Al is a little bit of a tricky.
Yeah. Anyway, he did. I got it all backwards. He did these.
Are those 3D printed?
That's beautiful.
Yes, they are, and they are awesome. They are awesome. I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. I think I'm gonna, I don't know, embed them or use them as lamination in another project or something, and maybe even paint them.
Or use them with Play-Doh.
I think gold has to.
I love Star Wars.
Pardon me?
I love Star Wars.
Yes. Yeah, it's Doctor Who TARDIS Blue too. I love that. Thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it. Now, let's see your question. Sorry, folks. Didn't mean to make you guys sit there. Your question scrolled off the screen. What was it?
Drink.
Oh, does Chad ever do a collab with anyone?
There you go.
I honestly, I have not. There's actually a couple of fellas that I've had in mind and just haven't reached out. Well, I reached out to the one guy, and it's schedule we're trying to do, but it's something I've wanted to do is maybe have a few guest stars here, and not necessarily like people that you guys would know. These are more like the fellas that I hang around with. There's some older woodworking guys. They're in their late 60s, early 70s. They've been doing woodworking for like over 50 years, and the stuff they do is phenomenal. And they come from the old line of thinking that you got to keep it in the brotherhood. So they're real leery on who they share, these woodworking tips and tricks too, but they do for me, because this is, like I said, this is my craft. So I thought about seeing if I couldn't have them on a couple times, either do a little shop tour with them, or just bring on some of their work, just to give appreciation for what these guys have done and do. So
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you know, I could send you some scroll saw pieces. You could put them in a table, but you know, if you don't want to use me, that's fine. I'm just kidding. And actually, on a serious note, I'd like to talk about something along those lines after the show. Not to
yeah, sure.
Most of that was a joke. I know I've already gone an hour and a half. It almost seems silly for me to start the topic of woodworking, but maybe a lot of people are tuning in for that purpose. Do you have a framework, like the baseline of making woodworking as a business? Me being not experienced at that level, would you say the foundation is a plan and then go from there?
Well, first of all, I have to say I've been self-employed doing this for 20 years, but I am the worst business guy out there.
Me too.
So I wouldn't necessarily take what I'm saying and turning it into some kind of formula for success by any means. I did 2 videos recently here called Can You Be a Woodworker?, which has 5 points on just because you like working in the shop, you know, when you come home from work and you like to tinker out here on the weekend, doesn't mean that you're necessarily the right personality to be out here. Then the second one is, should you be a woodworker, a professional woodworker? And that focuses more on if you're the right personality, but now you have certain conditions around you, like what is the town or city that you're like? Do they focus more on the factory? Are they blue collar, where they shop more and buy their stuff at the big box stores? Or are they a town that supports the local small businesses, the local arts, and so on? And again, it's 5 tips on things you should consider: your competition, your pricing, you know, if you want to get into it full time.
Where you live.
Where you live, like I said, I mean, what are you making? Are you going to make little wine racks? Well, if you make little wine racks, you can probably make them pretty fast. But if there's other woodworkers out there in your neighborhood, town, and they notice your wine racks are selling, well, guess what? They're going to make them too. So now you got competition. Where are you selling your work? Are you selling it online? Are you selling it through a store with someone? You know, the store is going to mark it up. They're going to make way more money than you are. You know, or do you go after homeowners, contractors? Contractors are a good source of business for me. Store owners will ask for stuff. Who are you going to target to put yourself into a special niche?
Well, that, and you said woodworking as a business, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you've already talked about how these different avenues you've taken have limited you, because you sort of got to go with what they want. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place.
You know, it's funny. People have a really short retention span. So when I first started out and I was a handyman.
What was that? Sorry.
Oh, okay. When I first started out as a handyman, you know, replacing faucets and light fixtures and stuff like that. Then when I got my contractor's license and told them, hey, I can do remodeling for you, I don't know why. They always thought I was only still good at, you know, replacing faucets and light switches. Then when I get new customers and I would like remodel a kitchen or a bathroom, I would tell them, hey, I can build you custom furniture, or you can call me in case like you need a light fixture replaced. And they would always still just think that I could only do big remodeling jobs. And same thing, the ones that I do furniture for, they only think I can do furniture. So you kind of get remembered for your very first job, you know, unfortunately. So I will say that in the 20 years of doing this, I've never advertised. I've never teamed up with anyone. I totally believe in the whole birds of a feather flock together. So if I have a really good customer, odds are that their best friend or their family, are a bunch of jerks. They're probably also very good people. And so my name just gets spread around, and I've had customers wait as long as 1.5 years for me because they don't want anyone else.
And that's exact definition of your work speaking for itself. If you don't have to advertise, that is awesome.
Yeah, a couple times over the years, I've tried to hire someone, because you get this idea, oh, I'm going to grow my business and, I'll get more customers and make more money. And what a nightmare.
What are you talking about? You only pay me 2 beers an hour.
I was about to just say, I was just about to say, you got the guy sitting right next to you, probably your most dependable helper.
Well, that's one of the other things that people don't understand. They think Dan works for me. He doesn't work for me. I mean, he's just my best friend, But I will say that Dan will help me out on some of the bigger jobs. But I've tried to hire, people in the past, and they're not there for the work. They're not there to learn this craft. They're there for a paycheck on Friday, and it shows. It shows. I mean, I have to go back sometimes at night and redo the stuff that they were doing all day because they did it wrong, and the customer's unhappy. So,
sadly, I think that's happening in society with a lot of businesses. It's quantity. Quantity over quality, and that sounds like that's what you're running into, and that really sucks for society.
So that's why I say I'm a bad business guy, because most people would, be taking this opportunity and just grow. And I just like to keep it small. I like to pick and choose my customers. I almost feel guilty because my customers are so nice. It's like, getting paid from your friends.
My friends won't pay me.
That's what I mean. That's why it almost feels guilty. But
I still owe him money.
I was going to ask if you ever built anything for Dan. I mean, surely you have.
Oh, my house is full.
Yeah. Well, the I Can Do It show. This is something people don't usually realize. The I Can Do It show down in Cincinnati. I mean, it's a full studio. It's not like here where I got my camera and I'm moving around. They got 3 cameras, light crew, sound crew. I mean, you got a whole staff there. And so I have to come in and I have to not only design the project, build the project, what I like to call the reveal, like, ta-da, here's what we're making today. But then we film a 30-minute show in half a day. So morning is one episode, we take lunch, and then the afternoon is another episode. That means I have to have all my props ready for it. So, it's kind of like, all right, we're making this table. Here's how you make the one leg. All right, now I'm going to make 3 more, and we'll move on to the next step. Cut. I got all the legs ready. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the props are there to move it along. So when an episode finishes, I've technically built that same piece like 3 or 4 times. So I come home, I give all the stuff to him, So his house is full of the series.
I really need to move closer. I know I didn't give enough of the show to the woodworking as a business, but I think all the topics we discussed sort of at least gave a timeline of your goals, you really just the layout. I just spit on myself. The layout, the layout you gave of the premise of woodworking and working for yourself. I think basically answered most of the questions that could be out there. Before we go anywhere, I will tell everybody that when I do the scroll on thing, that won't be at the end of the show because Chad promised to dance us out. But is there anybody on the panel and if you haven't watched it, it's a treat, but is there anybody on the panel or in the chat that has a question?
Hey, before you do anything else, Portal Woodworks just gave you a super chat of $2. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Nice job. Nice.
Thank you, sir.
See, me begging might have helped, huh?
Just might have. I think you.
So now what we do with the $2?
Now he's been paid.
We split the $2 between everybody, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so I think we're all going to get like a piece of bubble gum. But that sounds like I'm downplaying. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much.
Dave.
I didn't mean to minimize what you just did.
No, that was totally funny too.
Oh, heck. On that note, if anybody's interested that wants some kind of reward system for their money, I have finally, what's the word, bitten the bullet and tried Patreon. So if you want to check that out, the link's in the description. See if you're okay or if you like the reward system. If not, feedback helps because I was guessing as to what might appeal to people. So feedback on that would be crucial to me. Any amount helps. I don't depend on it, but it's definitely appreciated. Not under no obligation to do. Thank you very much, Dave. So I'm going to go ahead and do my typical scroll on thing, but we all got to mute ourselves after that because Chad has to play music to dance to. So Dave and Al, if you don't mind muting yourselves, I'm going to do my scroll on thing, and then the second I say scroll on, I'm going to get it over to Chad. This is going to be a treat, but Jamie Page is not here to say spell my finger, so I'm just going to say scroll on. Take it away, Chad. Thank y'all for watching.